The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Happiness Jungle with yours truly, the Chief Happiness Officer, Lindy Eldridge. And I am super excited that we have with us today, all the way from Orlando, Florida, Melody Garcia. And I am telling you, you are in for a treat. We have her Skyped in. Hello, Melody.
Well, hello there, Lindy, and hello, all the viewers of this Happiness Jungle. I'm so excited to be part of your show today.
Oh my gosh, just hearing your voice, just seeing you, I'm like, oh, I feel all juiced up. And our topic today
I'm
is...
just feeding.
What?
Go ahead. I was like, I'm just feeding from your energy, girl.
I like it.
So keep pouring it on.
You know, the title, I always think of what's great titles for my shows, and whenever I think of them, I always think of my guest that's going to be on the show, and how did we meet? Today's show is called, What Did You Say to the Universe Today? That's going to bring you your blessings, you know, and here we are. We met. We've never even met in person yet, have we?
No, we have not, but that's coming up in a couple months, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm going to be down in Orlando. I'm hoping that maybe we're even going to do an event together. Wouldn't that be fun?
Girl, it's what you say to the universe. I might have to find something for you in January. Oh, it'll happen.
Boy, I am telling you, I am just excited. You are known as the Renaissance Woman. You are known to be the giver of giver. You work with UNICEF. You work with international companies. You just exude the word giver. I want everybody, you know, the Happiness Jungle, Melody, is all about our audience being able to take something as soon as the show is over and saying, I could do this. I want you to share whatever part of your story you want to share, because there's somebody out there that needs to hear it so they can take action. So share with us your deliciousness. How did you become? You are delicious.
I'm going to have to put that on a future resume and see how that works. I'm delicious.
And they can call me for a reference.
All right. Thank you for that. But anyway, let's see. The first thing I'm going to share with your audience today, Lindy, and you know, to ever hope this message comes across later on, is live to be unlimited. All right. Don't see barriers. Don't see walls. And it's easier said than done, because I went through that stage myself of going, you know, you hear this motivational talks, you read books, but after that hype is over, you're back to square one. But I'm going to share what turned my journey 3 years ago that actually led me to absorbing this title that I'm still trying to process myself, the Renaissance Woman, the do it all. And yes, I am doing so much at the same time, but it's driven by passion. It is driven by the fact that I know my true north. And it took a journey for me to find my true self, and I'm still learning and growing as I go along. But the Philippines, where I was born from, right? I left the Philippines when I was a little girl, was hit with the biggest storm in 2013. That was known as Typhoon Haiyan. It was all over the news. Basically, if I'm not mistaken, it made a landfall at over 200 miles an hour. And this hurricane was known to be the size from Florida to Canada, hitting this country that does not have the structure that we have for, strong hurricanes and such. All I know is that the land, was just completely devastated. There were parts of it looked like a nuclear bomb went off. And for some reason, a strong part of me, even though I haven't been back in the country since I left as a little girl, donating to the charity foundations, whether it was Red Cross or, any other, was just not enough because it was home. So I decided, here's what's the good thing about it, is I decided to go into the internet and look at news articles, because the one thing that Philippines did not have back then was censorship. They showed everything. Okay, they showed everything. And I came across this news, recorded news of this lady who's a mom who ended up losing 3 of her children. And they showed, this mom just crying. She doesn't know where the flood took her husband. There was no home. But what broke me, what completely shattered me, was that she was holding her 3 dead children, and they were little. And speaking the mother tongue that I'm still fluent at, I understood what she was crying about is they were so remotely cut off she couldn't even bury her kids. And as a mother, her cry, and you're getting emotional, it's just like I am, hit me so hard that day that all I remember was getting down on my knees, bawling my head off, as I am a single mom with 2 kids, right? And all I remember saying and crying and praying, whatever your belief is, whether it's Christian-based, faith-based, the universe, but all I remember saying, and this is where you come in, what you throw to the universe is, help me help them. That's all of that was. It was help me help them and activate everything you have given me as a talent for me to reach her, and not necessarily her, but them, because I saw the reality of what was happening. And the next day, the universe, call it God, call it universe, responded. I had an epiphany to have a cabaret concert because I said, okay, you know what? I sing. And maybe if I put a little something together, let me just invite 20 of my closest friends, or 30, because it's 30 more people that can donate more than I can. And all I know is that it was going to go straight to the ground somehow. I am not a nonprofit organization, but I've worked with many. And let me just say, within 24 hours, I sent a plea. This is where things start going on a miracle journey. I sent a Facebook message to the Asian American / Filipino American community going, hey, let's put a cabaret concert together. I sing. This is my name. I'm kind of known in the entertainment, world down here. And so I sent it out. Within 24 hours, my private message box was flooded. But here's the crazy part. None of them were Filipinos. So, and where did I send this to? None of them were Asians. So I said, okay, talk about someone intercepting that message and resending it out to the performing arts community of Orlando. Within 24 hours, I had full lineup of artists.
Wow.
And I went, okay, well, that was fast. Okay, so I told them nobody's getting paid. This is strictly voluntary. I'm on the planning stage. And you guys have to be really good because there's no time for rehearsal. Next day, 3 of my friends who never spoke to each other, as I'm trying to think, okay, now where's the venue? This is between November and December, where every single holiday, hall, banquet, you name it, is already booked. I went, okay, now what? Now the next time is a venue. I'm thinking again, small space, small scale, Lindy, 20 to 30 people. And three of my friends who never spoke to each other decided to give me one pastor's name. So I said, okay, let me follow this clue, called him, told him my purpose, maybe I could rent a little church hall or something. And 24 hours after that, he said, let me see what I can do for you. Calls me back the next day, and I'm fast forwarding the story, and goes, I have great news. I have a venue for you. They're not going to charge you anything. All they want is an acknowledgement when you put a program. And I said, sure. I said, does it hold 20 people? Right? And he goes, my dear, it's the concert auditorium for Forest Lake Academy. It holds 650 people. And my heart stopped. And I went, where am I going to find 650 people? So within 2 days, literally, I had a full lineup of artists and I had a concert auditorium hall. It was one miracle after another. And within 3 weeks, all I'm going to say is, I had PepsiCo call me for sponsorship at close to 11 at night. I wasn't even looking for sponsorship. I had graphic artist design. I had printing press design programs. Not one penny was spent for this to become a full-blown event. The day before the concert, I had the president of Global Acts World Relief call me, which is one of the rapid response for international disasters, saying, heard about you, want to speak at your event. I said, go ahead. Goodwill ambassador for Florida hospital chain calls me, goes, I want to attend your event. And I just said, at this point, a radio station picked it up by miracle and started airing this advertising for a whole week for free.
My goodness.
And I said, I connected on a global scale with CNN Hero of the Year from the Philippines. I started getting testimonial letters through private Facebook, and it fueled the fire because I heard the plea of the people going, this is what's truly going on. We're on food rations. No matter what the news says, where they're saying they're sending in food, the true ration is we're getting 2 pounds of rice and a can of sardines every 4 days to feed a family of 6 to 8,
My
and we're
gosh.
starving. And I don't know who you are, but your name is all over social media in parts of the country, but please help us. Well, guess what? I didn't sleep for 3 weeks. I was on full fuel, and remember that, be careful what you ask for. When I said activate everything you've given me as a talent, it was activated in all scales. I became event planner, negotiator, advertiser, spokesperson. I was like my one band me of all, the talents
one
that
band
I've been
you.
gifted. My one band you, my one corporation me. And the day before, there was no sleep for 3 weeks. The day of the actual concert, there were no rehearsals. It was just mic checks from all. I had a program, and I had no idea if there were 20 people, 200, 150, 650. I had no clue, because I had friends delegate with the tickets. I just went and be led by faith. And I said, you know what? You brought me this far. I'm pretty sure whether the auditorium is full or not, at least let it be with the right people with a good heart. Because there's one purpose here, which is to help reach those people that are suffering immensely from halfway across the globe. And Lindy, I'm going to tell you, the moment I stepped out on stage and the lights came on after the first song, the title of the concert is actually called One Night, One Voice. Because there's only one night that this voices can be heard, and one voice. And I'm sorry about that background noise you're hearing right now. But people ask me, well, how did you come up with this title? I said, it's a creative side of me. It touched my heart. I said, I literally have one night to make this voices be heard from halfway around the globe and to the United States, and somehow a miracle needs to happen. Long story short, I walked out to that stage, and the auditorium was nearly filled.
Wow.
People were coming from the airport, from Miami. I mean, I was getting news. I had media, some kind of media there trying to get to me backstage, and I completely lost it. I cried and bawled for a good few minutes before I could even start the program. And all I said is, thank you for heeding the call. Each life I said, each seat that you have there represents a life or 2 or 3 or 4. I said, give generously. This concert is on behalf of them. I said, for your enjoyment, but never forget that the reason this was put together is to save human lives, lives we're never going to see or touch. We don't know how this is going to lead. And just when I thought so, it was a successful concert. We had some funding coming in. And just when I thought that my journey was over, I've done my, checklist. I've done good. It was actually just the beginning. Because this led to connections with amazing, I call them heroes on the ground. One in particular called the Mobile Soup Kitchen for Children. And when you say soup kitchen in the United States, the first thing I think of, because I'm westernized, is it's a soup kitchen, a facility, right?
Right.
And I'm also thinking a food truck at the worst case scenario. All they wanted, and my then son, who was 7 years old at the time, he is now 11. He was about 7, 8, wrote a little envelope that says, Mom, how do you spell Philippines? Because I'm going to put my one and only dollar. He was there for the concert. He saw the planning. He goes, to this. And you know what? As a mom and social media queen here too, I took a picture, posted on Facebook, and I said, this is full circle. The most unselfish heart comes that from my own child to put his one and only dollar to go help children or whoever halfway around the world. And that to me was the most satisfying moment of that 3 weeks journey, that to know that I would have left an impact on his legacy. And so that envelope was actually the catalyst to opening more doors. I had no idea. So long story short, this Mobile Soup Kitchen for Children sees that envelope, messages me. They never asked for money, and all they said is, can we borrow this to post on our site? And I'm like, I had no idea who you are, but please tag me. Go ahead. Tag ahead. And the dedication they place is basically saying, here's a representative of heaven's love. A little boy in the United States, in Florida, somewhere in Orlando, has dedicated his one and only daughter to help people like us. So this fuels their purpose. So I got curious and said, who is this Mobile Soup Kitchen for Children? Right? Opened their Facebook page, started following them, and went into complete shock. Because what I saw was a group of volunteers on the ground, and all they had was 2 stock pots and some firewood and very bare necessities of cooking whatever they can on the streets to feed people. And I went, my gosh, this is so far from the soup kitchen. And with purpose and clarity, it just all came to me. I said, this is why this had to happen. It's them. We need to help them. So we had a little bit of funding left. And, with a prayer going before me, I basically said, and if they turn out to be crooks, oh, good God, that's between them, and our creator. So I sent them some funding. The first one was basically about $400. And I figured, you know what, if they steal $400, that's on them. I had a good intention. But if they don't, I want to see what this takes. Right? Because part of the funding has already rebuilt school systems, rebuilt some structures that were damaged, sent medical, emergency things. So it's been dispersed. So we had a little bit left. Well, wouldn't you know it? They were so overjoyed with that $400. They messaged me a few days later, sent everything through Western Union, not expecting anything. Again, when you give, it is without expectations you get anything in return. So I gave wholeheartedly and I said, all right, let this be going for the good. When they came back with photos, I mean, this was nonstop crying on my part, between tears of joy and tears of depression. You name it, it was hitting me all emotionally. It fed over 500 children. It bought over 500 new slippers. They were able to get more stock pots and became a relationship that I supported them. And this is still heartwarming. That journey ended up, with collaboration of others, ended up feeding over 20,000 children. The start of Sustainability Gardens, the brilliance of this man that started this, he knew he was going from village to village to try to feed and try to help with victims of the storm. But he knew that there were villages completely washed out. There were fishermen whose boats were gone, their means of living. So he was brilliant by thinking, let me start building a sustainability garden, organic garden, so that when it grows, it continues to feed community. Needless to say, he started building that, and one was actually named after me. He sent me pictures, and I cried some more.
Oh, I bet you did.
Oh my God, I cried some more. I was crying of tears of joy throughout this journey. And to think still now, 3 years later, I'm going, my little help me help them and activate everything you have given me. Ended up feeding over 20,000 children, rebuilding homes, schools. And who am I? I'm not a nonprofit person. And that, again, was a catalyst to more, because I'm also a speaker. It opened speaking engagements. And I think I shared this with you previously. There was one specifically in New York where they pulled me as a panelist for one of the hurricanes. There were 4 of us that flew in to New York from different parts of the country. One was actually a representative of the White House.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Look at that.
So,
Look at the stage that you're on now.
The stage that I am on now. So, and it was a humanitarianism, which is, again, one part of my passion. So we were on stage. I was the last speaker to go. And, I'm not going to name names on her, but she basically had all this credentials in the world. She obviously works for the USAID, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but she was part of that. And as typical as the presentations are, she basically went over figures. These are the millions of dollars. This is where it's being delegated and everything. And I was the last one to go. So I said, my opening line is, it started with a prayer. And pulled up my PowerPoint and I said, first 24 hours, this is what happened. 48 hours, 72 hours. And I gave them a timeline and took them through the journey, showed them pictures of the concert, showed them pictures of Mobile Soup Kitchen for Children, showed them the video that came from the Mobile Soup Kitchen for Children. And the very end of that, I was asked to deliver an original powerful quote, which I did. And I had no idea that at that particular time, I was already trending on Twitter, Rappler, every single social media, because they had a media panelist on things that I was saying. And then I sat down, and it was a standing ovation. The applause was deafening, but I sat down, and I took a deep breath. And the White House lady leans over, taps me on the shoulder, and she goes, "Excuse me, you did all of that? You did all of that?" And I said, "Actually, no, ma'am, I didn't." I said, "I just activated something so raw, something so pure, something so authentic called a prayer with a very giving heart, with no expectations in return. Didn't know how big this was going to be. It was literally, remember, a 20 concert or 20 people attendee cabaret." And I said, and this is what it led to. And she was dumbfounded. And of course, I had to do my, it's a melody thing. And I said, you do realize when you involve your creator in your plans, we move faster than the White House sometimes. And she laughed and she started laughing. But that started the journey. And then I got more engaged in different communities because of my name that went before One Night, One Voice, because that, I was in New York. The next thing, I was in Hollywood. And then I come home and I'm still mom and I still have a corporate day job and I'm doing all this other things. That grew basically into all this other venues. So present journey. This year, I decided to pick up the phone because there's other nonprofit organizations, obviously, knocking down my door, especially with children's causes. But my passion that has been there since I was a little girl is going, UNICEF. And for those of you who do not know UNICEF, it stands for United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. And they've been around for years. It was started by the UN. And they stand for the right for children to live fairly, from a global advocacy standpoint. So guess what I did? I decided one day, it was this year, as I'm going through more transitions in my life, is that let me pick up the phone. Let me call UNICEF and say, so how do I get involved? And I did. And next thing you know, one thing led to another. I'm being connected to Miami and everything. Learned about this group called a Congressional Action Team, which is a group of volunteers. There was at the time only 13 in the nation, because this is fairly new. And what it is a group of volunteers that advocates for children's rights from around the globe. But their intent is to meet with senators and Congress, push bills, raise awareness. And I'm like, oh, all right, that sounds very interesting. And I said, what's the closest location to me? And they said, Miami. I'm like, I'm in Orlando. So guess what I did? I said, okay, so how do you start one in Orlando? And they said, what do you mean? I said, how do you get one started? I said, I want to start one. I said, and don't worry about the people. I'm connected well enough that I know specifically who I want to target for this. People with the same passion and heart. And long story short, again, in rapid, the one thing I'm finding in this is when you have a true purpose and passion, it doesn't go slow pace. Everything comes at you really, really fast. And it gave birth to the 14th National Congressional Action Team. We put Orlando on the map, and we just finished our official training. And last night, I'm happy to share, a representative of UNICEF headquarters, New York, flew in. She had some meetings here, but she specifically wanted to meet the Orlando team. But she was in for a surprise because, knowing how I do things anyway, it's never small scale. She came in, she met the Orlando team, very impressed with the teams. I have CEOs, entrepreneurs, single moms, people from the medical, a medical career field. I have an attorney on board for legal advice. So this was no small potatoes. I've approached this 11 individuals. On top of that, it was visited by the ambassador of another nonprofit called Love is Kind. She's an ambassador for the children of Moldova, and she's actually competing for Mrs. World. So I had a full scale of visitors. We held it at a very posh private club called the Citrus Club. And I will tell you that by the time I was done with this meeting, I was approached by 3 private, I can't name the corporation right now, who said, I don't know who you are, but I want in. I want to be able to fully support you. We have a lot of money that we give out for funding. I said, I'm not in charge of UNICEF funding, but I'm pretty sure that we can work something out. So I'm meeting with the 3 gentlemen next week as a result, because they really, really want to engage. And they've, get name dropped and things and said, we've given millions here, millions there. We want to be part of you. How do we? He goes, I don't even need to know who you are. I saw you in action. I saw the caliber of people, and then some political affiliations started walking and representing different offices. It's that time of the year because they heard about this little buzz. And, I shook hands and did my thing. The group did, and they want in. So we will see what this leads to. But right now that there's some different advocacies that we need to focus on, and as we prepare to meet with political leaders to say, you need to support this. This is not just within the United States. Florida, for example, the person we met with last night, Lindy, is the head of anti-human trafficking. And I live in Orlando, and it is so sad that Florida is one of the top 5 states. Wow. That has the highest rating because of tourism and, for child and human trafficking. So that was a very daunting, and they gave us statistics like there's still 16,000 deaths every day around the world of children. down from 48,000, but now it's 16,000. I still can't fathom that number.
Right.
But
Crazy.
So the right people lined up, for this advocacy. We're ready to take on the world. We're ready to make a global impact and say, we represent the smallest victims' voices, victims of war, victims of decision, victims of, just an enormous task ahead of us as we join the rest of the 14 other congressional action teams in the United States to form this advocacy group of hoping to make a difference and impact for children around the world. So that's part of what keeps me busy, happily busy, in your theme. And I also now write in my journey. I write for an international magazine called Manila Up, and my column is called Life Journeys. So it's overcoming adversities. It's finding the people that went from severe breakdowns to breakthroughs. And I have two big names, which I will be releasing. One is our common friend, Evan Clausen, who's graced me with his story, and then some more as I really got deep in there to he's got a brilliant mind to really share his journey with the world. But on December, and this is an exclusive just for your show, is Dr. Steve Maraboli. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Steve Maraboli. Steve Maraboli is the most quoted man alive. And again, this journey has taken me on such a wild, awesome ride. There was 1 week, and this is where I say, again, what you give out there, right? What you give out as a prayer, what you give out to the universe. When I ask, what is my true purpose with all these gifts? How do I continue to impact lives? I have a gift of writing, and also then the magazine shows up. And the first thing they told me is, you're going to write about events. And I said, no, thank you. And they said, yes. And the founder goes, what do you mean? And I said, to be very honest with you, and here's another point for your audience. Folks, don't settle for anything.
Do it real short, Melody. We are running out of time. I can't believe it.
Sorry. But let me just go with the fact that Steve Maraboli will be on a December article and a special feature, and he's a global leader. And here I was just face to face with him, and now we're on the first name basis. So keep pushing, keep finding your true north, and completely unleash on life. You're only held by your limited beliefs. Do not let those pains, the gifts, we've heard this time and time again, they serve as a purpose, because through your pain, through those struggles comes a beautiful gift of tomorrow, and that's there for a purpose, not only for your growth, because you can authentically identify with people's feelings and pain.
Melody, I don't even want to shut you off, and we only have like 1 second left.
Ahead.
I love you.
I love you guys. Follow me on melodygarcia.com. That needs updating, but we're working on it.
Amen, sister. I love you, and I am so blessed that the universe brought us together. We never said that life was easy, but we did say you can be happier. Let the giver come out. Let the universe take over, and you just might be as lucky as Melody is to meet globally everybody else that's going to make it happen for you, your dreams. Melody, I love you. I adore you. I cannot wait to hug you in person.
I can't wait till January. I'm counting down the days, Lindy.
Me too. Me too. Thanks, Melody.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.